I love franchising because it takes an already proven model and just kind of lets you copy and paste. As long as you put it in the right location and a couple other parameters, you can be really successful at it.
Do you want to take ownership of your financial future? Have the freedom to do what you want, when you want, and with whom you want? Welcome to the top, the Take Ownership Podcast, the ultimate destination for Black people who want to learn how to build wealth through multifamily investing. We believe that multifamily investing is one of the most powerful wealth building tools available to our community. Through our podcast, we demystify the world of real estate investing and show you how to use multifamily properties to create long-term passive income streams and build equity. Each episode features expert guests, real-world case studies, and practical tips tailored to Black investors. Whether you're just starting out in real estate investing or you're a seasoned pro, you'll find valuable insights and actionable advice that can help you achieve your financial goals. Join us on the Take Ownership Podcast and start taking ownership of your financial future today.
All right, welcome back, fam. Welcome back to the Takeover Podcast. I'm here. I'm DB. I'm here with my man Jerome. It's been a while since what's going on, Jerome, man?
Abundance, man. How y'all doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Jonathan? We got a host. We got a guest, wonderful guest there. We're going to be diving a little bit into what he does today. It's not just about multifamily. It's also going to be a little bit about business. For anyone who's been listening for a while, you know that I like to hear about especially small family business and stuff like that. And so happy to definitely excited to jump into conversation about business in general and also, of course, multifamily. So Jonathan, without going on too much, I'm just going to let you introduce yourself to the folks and let us know who you are, what you do, and then I will jump more into the questions. Yeah,
sounds great, man. Sounds great. First of all, it's an honor to be here, man, amongst like-minded people. And, it's just great to know that these conversations are going on. Looking forward to contributing as much as I can and learning as much as I can too.
Appreciate it.
Everybody, Jonathan Howard, Houston, Texas native, from 3rd Ward in Houston. See, I went to college at Morehouse College in Atlanta, studied business there. And I just finished my MBA at Rice University here in Houston back in May of this year.
Man, congrats.
Nice. Congrats.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate it, man. Trying to get some formal stuff behind that street knowledge that I went in with. Yeah. But I started my career in fundraising for a few different organizations, Texas Children's Hospital, United Way of Greater Houston, led a couple of national foundations before going to business school. While I was doing nonprofit work, saved up to go into Smoothie King franchising. And so started that, if you all have heard of Smoothie King, small smoothie and juice franchise out of New Orleans, Louisiana, out of Metairie. And started that in 2018. Got up to 2 of those. Sold one, still operating one, and now diversifying the portfolio. So I started an investment group with some of my classmates from Rice, where we're doing more franchising, a little bit of real estate, securities, and other things, and just trying to diversify and take swings at the fences while we can. Time comes when you can take as big swings, so gonna take them all while we're in this age. So
I like that, man. That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, man.
And you're busy, man. What does your calendar look like?
Man, that's the whole reason I went into all these things is to buy my time back. So
gotcha.
Still doing the day job as a consultant, doing business strategy, growth, and innovation for a global consulting firm, but hoping to have like a 5-year timeline on that and go full time into entrepreneurship. So that's what we want to control.
That's what I like to hear, man. Listen, before we. Sorry, go ahead.
I know his calendar is packed because
it's got to be right. You just listen to what he just said. You just know it.
No, man. Look, yeah, trying to control it, man. That's the idea.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Listen, before we even jump in there, let me touch up a little bit on your history with the fundraising. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Fundraising. I thought it was it didn't happen by, I didn't plan that, but I thought it was the perfect segue into going into entrepreneurship, because all it is sales and management, and just fundraising is all about managing a portfolio of companies, of individuals, of foundations, and trying to sell them on the product to get them to buy your concept. And that translates and transfers very well into entrepreneurship and what you have to do in business. So I did that at Texas Children's and at United Way, and at a couple of national foundations, including Feed the Soul Foundation with Black Restaurant Week. Just really building from the ground up with the new foundations, and then with the corporate ones, it was kind of more so managing that portfolio, kind of prospect life cycle stuff, starting off with qualification, finding out whether or not people could or would give, and then going into cultivating those prospects, and then into solicitation, which is asking for the gift, asking for the money, and then stewardship, which is just managing the relationship. And I find that to be kind of the same with business.
Yeah, no, for sure. One of the biggest issues we have, and Jerome can probably attest to this as well, in multifamily, and I guess real estate in general, is funds, right? Raising capital. Raising capital is always the bottleneck. Everyone always says, oh, find a good deal and you find people coming. And that might be true maybe if doing some fix and flips and you just need like 100K here or something like that, right? But when you're looking to take down, 5 million, 10 million, it's not just about finding the property and people coming, right? It's not that build and they will come kind of thing. No, you got to be raising capital. So I can imagine how that fundraising and pretty much what you just mentioned, prospecting, lead gen to prospecting, and continue the conversation and nurturing that relationship can really come in use, not just in the fundraising part, but also in just business in general. So I can see how that translates.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Doing your research, your due diligence on people and on properties, and then managing the relationships that you need, that you can trust in order to be able to raise that capital is super important, just like managing a portfolio.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, and I heard you discuss one of your tenets was stewardship. What would you say is like the biggest challenge when it comes to, okay, we have the funds and now let's try to execute this business plan? What would you say the biggest challenge in stewardship is?
Yeah, I think when it comes to stewardship, I think that's all about synergy, and that stewardship doesn't happen effectively unless you've done the work in the beginning to make sure that it's a possibility. So stewardship starts with due diligence. Before you even have that person or that company or that investor, it's about knowing as much as you can about them, and kind of what motivates them and what makes them tick.
Yeah.
And then that leads into their trusting you and you trusting them. And then once the deal is done, then you know exactly how to tailor your stewardship towards them. So, it could be anything. Some people are more communicators than other people. And if you don't know that, then you don't do it effectively or as much as you need to. So knowing the people from the beginning and the companies and those things, I think, are most important, so that everybody's on the same page and that everybody's getting their needs satisfied. It kind of reminded me of a relationship right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Company love language, if you will.
For sure. But I think that's probably the best way to describe it, right? And when it comes to raising capital, raising funds, you come to find out that the deal matters, right? I don't want to throw it away and say the deal doesn't matter, but I think probably what matters most is that relationship and that trust, because I know you, Jonathan. You got a deal. You say, yeah, D, come take a look at this. It's a good deal. I'm going in with my money. I mean, that speaks volume, right? Versus like some all-known person promise you $1 million. You might rather take that at, that 100K versus that $1 million, just because you trust Jonathan versus, who's this person that's promised me $1 million that I've never met before, right? So I can definitely see that. Yeah, for sure.
How long did it take to build that relationship, particularly, I guess, with your investors and with the investment group, for you all to really vibe off each other, trust each other, know, like, and trust, as they say?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's that varies by situation. Obviously I was in business school for 2 years with everybody that's in the investment group. So for 2 years I got to observe, how these people work in groups, how these people work individually, what their work ethic looks like.
You hear
What
that?
they
You hear
look
that,
to.
kids? The group work is important. To all the
For
kids
sure.
out there.
It's important, man. I know a lot of people don't like it because you know you can't control everything when you're in a group, but
Yeah.
it's very necessary. And if anything I've learned in business, you definitely go further, faster together with the group than you do by yourself. So learning how to work in a group is important, but definitely that you know that relationship can either happen over time, or it could be you could develop trust in a very very quick amount of time as well. But that matters with how you're being relevant. You know, what are you posting on your social media? Can people see what you're doing? And do they believe in you enough? Are you being out there enough? And you know, touting your successes, talking about your failures genuinely, all those different type things that make people want to trust you if they don't know you already. You know?
That's really that's important right there.
Solid. Yeah.
I think we had a guest on here, or someone kept saying, you know, when it comes to going to college, it's not even about the education itself. Yeah, that part is, we all know it's there, right? That's what we're going for. But really, it turns out to be the relationships that you end up building, right? Those who push you a little further than, you know, whatever individual class you took, right? So, yeah, for sure.
Just like your customers, man. It's rarely about what you do, but how you make that person, that customer, that investor feel that they're going to remember and lean on when it's time to do something else. So
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, did you all that's my last one, DB, before we move on to the next one?
Nah, go on, man.
Did you always have the like swing for the fences mentality, or do you remember a time when that clicked? Like, all right, let's go all in on this.
Yeah, it definitely. I definitely didn't have that mentality at all coming in, but I think just the more reading you do, the more observing you do, and one very important thing that our generation is trying to get better at, finding mentors. I think that was really important when it came to that for me, because I saw like the generation before us, kind of that first generation, especially when it comes to the Black and minority communities. That was the first generation to really get decent jobs, and so all they knew was kind of go to work for 40, 50 years, get that gold watch and retire. And so seeing them kind of move into their 50s, 60s, 70s, and then see this thing about passive income and say, oh, wow, let me do this now. And kind of watching them see, how maybe they couldn't swing at the fences because they had other responsibilities or their income was fixed now and all these different things. And then kind of seeing my generation and how, before a certain age and even before kids and all those different type things, we have a real opportunity to swing for the fences. And you can't hit a home run unless you swing really hard.
Right.
And even once we get kids and things like that, there's still opportunities to swing for the fences in our own arena. So I think kind of nothing changes unless something changes type thing.
Gotcha.
And if you don't swing for the fences at some point, you never hit that home run.
No, I like that, man. I like how you put that. And I think even beyond just swinging, it's swinging a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Just because you swung maybe 100 times, you didn't hit it. What happened, had you just gone that one more time, right? 101, right? You stopped right when you could have hit that. So for sure. Yeah.
Cast that wide net, man. I don't know. I can't live with regrets, man. So I don't want to wonder what if. Yeah.
For sure.
Love it.
Listen, let's jump into franchising, which I'm really excited about. A few years ago, it was something I was looking into. I was looking to buy a small business. Just because, and I'll ask you a little bit more about this, but I started looking into what are, the avenues, like starting a brand new business versus buying an existing one versus franchising, right? I guess before I even go into mine, let me hear yours. Like, did you make that transition? Did you decide between one? How did that go for you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's another testament to mentorship. Just seeing what people were doing, which I didn't even see. Didn't even really know much about franchising until maybe midway through college or right when I got back, and seeing one of my mentors, having been a high school teacher, and save up and then start franchising was something that really impacted me. And then I'm not the type of person that's super creative. I'm not that big idea, innovative idea type person, but I love franchising because it takes an already proven model and just kind of lets you copy and paste. As long as you put it in the right location and a couple other parameters, you can be really successful at it. So that's kind of how I made the decision at the surface level. And then you get kind of deeper when you talk about what franchises and things like that.
Gotcha. Before we even dive deep into the particular franchise that you went into, right?
Yeah.
Just just give an overview. What is franchising, right? Because we all have an idea. We all grew up around people, right? We saw you went to Dunkin' Donuts or whatever. You heard about it, right? But what really is it? And is it what we think it is, right?
It's a great question, man. I think it is what we think it is. I think sometimes we just don't know how deep it goes. So almost everything that you pass on the street, when you're riding down the street, the restaurants and all these different things, somebody has to own them. The revenue is going
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's corporate ownership or whether it's sole proprietorship, individual ownership, a lot of what you see is franchises. And so a franchise is just a more formal version of a licensed distributorship, which is one person or one entity coming up with the concept and then lending itself to other individuals to be able to replicate that same concept and charging them for that name and that brand. So every time McDonald's lends their name and their likeness and their brand to a franchisee, that franchisee pays usually a monthly fee to use that name and that brand so that they can make their own money off of it. And that's pretty much what a franchise is. And so the franchise I decided to go with first was Smoothie King.
Okay. And how did you find that?
Yeah, definitely found it first through the mentorship. I saw that my mentor had built maybe 3 of them by the time I came out of college, and he was a debate coach in high school. And I was just wondering, like, how do you go from that
Yeah, exactly.
to that? And like, wow. I was like, well, maybe I can do it too. Maybe, if he was able to do that. Yeah, so I saw it there, and it made me kind of research like what franchises are and what the best franchises are to get into, and kind of which ones are more attainable at the level I was at, basically.
Right. Because that was gonna be my next question, right? So yeah, all right. So we all have an idea of what a franchise is, mostly, right? We don't know the internal stuff, but we know, all right, McDonald's, and then someone can also buy it. Don't call it McDowell's, right? Just McDonald's. So for those who are too young to know about that reference, just Google it.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. So but you don't think of it as something that you can attain, right? Because one, if you ever go into one of the websites and you look at it, sometimes the requirement says, net worth of this, net worth of that.
Yeah.
And typically you look at it, you might never even look at it again, right? So, but people don't know that there's others around, right? They don't realize that, well, it's not just McDonald's or Chick-fil-A or whatever, billion-dollar thing that's out there, right? So can you speak on that? Was it just through the mentorship, or did you at least have some idea of what could be out there?
No, I had no idea. In fact, after seeing Smoothie King, like I kind of understood what McDonald's was. But knowing that there were new franchises popping up every single day that people have an opportunity to get into, and some of them are, as little as 10,000, and some of them are as much as 150,000. And kind of elaborating on something you just said, looking at the website, I didn't know that some of those things are super negotiable. They may say,
really? Wow, see,
net income, and they don't really mean that. That may be a way to weed people out, or that may be
wow.
That may be something that particular franchisor is able to waive depending on who you are and your credentials and all those type things. So learning all those things was something that really took some research, and those websites can be a little bit guarded, if you will, as far as information is concerned.
Yeah, that's crazy. And honestly, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we, kind of doing this podcast, right?
Yeah.
We primarily focus on multifamily and demystifying the whole idea. But just what you mentioned, right? Even myself, thinking that I went on, looked at some, and I had no idea that what they have written is in stone, right? It's more maybe a guidance, but if you can come to someone and like you said, they may potentially waive something because you have money in this, or you have asset in that, or some combination of something, right? But like you said,
they might just like you,
Yeah, you just you see it and you're like, all right, let me just go home. I can't do this, right? So that's that's crazy.
Definitely.
Would you so how did you come to reconcile your entrepreneurial spirit with coming into an already established franchise? Like, that's a culture, that's something that you expect. And just full disclosure, I met Jonathan through an event put on by Nasika Cox, who was a guest on our show. It's the gift that keeps on giving. But
for sure.
but I remember you mentioning how, if you're Black, then they're going to put you in the Black neighborhoods or things like that. So a franchise already has its tenants and its established culture. How are you able to reconcile your entrepreneur spirit with, okay, I'm going to partnership with these individuals that already have what they expect out of their business model?
Yeah, that can be tough, and it really depends on what franchise it is and what their parameters are and how strict they are. Most franchises, the great thing about them is that they already have a proven model. And when you sign on to be a franchisee, you kind of you link yourself with that franchisor, and you're kind of subject to whatever their rules and parameters are. A lot of that has to do with where you put it, like you were talking about, Jerome. So, for instance, they're like with Smoothie King, when I first got in, they didn't want to go into a neighborhood unless the median household income was $68,000 a year, and so that automatically eliminates a lot of
Right.
different areas that you can go.
Right.
And even like I said earlier, that can be negotiable. They, if you find a location or they find a location that's not within that, and they're willing to take a chance, then they will. But just like that, many of the parameters of the franchisor determine what you can do, and you have to
Okay.
be okay with that.
Okay.
Mm. But yeah,
Um,
different levels of autonomy as to what
Okay.
you can do with a franchise.
gotcha.
And so going back to due diligence, did you investigate that prior to partnering with Smoothie King,
Mhm.
or is it something you found out later? Like, oh, okay.
Look, a little bit of both, man. A little bit of both. So, and that's one of the most important lessons that I was hoping anybody listening would take out of this is that the relationship between the franchisor and the franchisee is what you should research the most. They are all super different. I mean, some of them provide everything for you, and some of them provide
Mhm.
absolutely nothing for you. And
Okay.
by everything and nothing, I mean, some of them have their own payment processing systems, their own technology, their own specs when it comes to contractors building it out. Some of them are just super easy because everything is laid out for you. But if you
Mhm.
pick one that doesn't have those things, you could be left out there to gain all that expertise by yourself. And
Wow.
then you're finding your own contractors to try to build out, the specs, and you're trying to
Mhm.
figure out, pricing and all these different type things. So know what kind of person you are and align yourself with the franchise that's going to give you the things that you need and allow you to be creative in the areas where you want to be creative.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
So on that, I got two questions. One, how do you generally run your business, and like what is like your autonomy, right? The things you can do and the things that you can do. Like, yeah, if you can speak a little bit on that, and then I'll come back to the second one later.
Yeah, sure thing. First of all, I knew that going into Smoothie King was going to be the first of what I hope is many different franchises. So, coming into this thing, I was hoping, just like if you have a small portfolio, a large portfolio in the stock market, what you want to start with is portfolio stabilizers. Those are those kind of safe stocks that are going to kind of carry you. And when everything else is doing bad, these things will probably be doing at least okay. And I see Smoothie King as one of those for a franchise portfolio or
Okay.
a portfolio that contains real estate or whatever. So Smoothie King is one of those kind of stricter franchises. You can't really play with the menu. You can't really play with the specs on how you build it out. They have all those things laid out. What you can play with a little bit is pricing and marketing and things like that. So I think that's the majority of how it's run is kind of based on Smoothie King itself. And then I get to play with labor and pricing and all those things. If you know anything about business, usually the most expensive thing in a business is labor. And
Labor. Yeah.
that accounts for a lot of what Smoothie King is. We have about 16 employees running the 3 shifts, 7 days a week. And so
Mhm.
finding that seesaw between labor and cost of goods sold is kind of what that business is all about on a monthly basis, and trying
Okay.
to make sure, depending on what the weather is like. Luckily here in Houston it's hot most of the year.
Oh
So
yeah.
and so
Always need a smoothie.
Always
look,
need
so
somebody
our
there.
only down months are like end of November and December and maybe January for the most part. So knowing how to have enough employees to take care of demand at different parts of the day, and
Mhm.
knowing how that's going to affect how much material I need to purchase from Smoothie King and the vendors that they use is kind of the main part of kind of running my business in particular.
Okay.
Mhm.
And just a little bit more on the running the business. So one, are you with a partnership? Is it just you? And
Mm.
then two, like how do you run your business in terms of like, the day to day? Are you day to day over there, whipping,
Yeah.
Oh, you sit in the back somewhere, sipping pina colada. Are you, the far ends of that or somewhere in the middle there?
Sounds good, man. I wish I was in the back sipping pina colada. But yeah, definitely on the day to day. First of all, it is a partnership. So I have a business partner. Um, one of them is the mentor that I told you about from
Okay.
high school and college.
Oh man, that's dope.
That's
On
good.
one of
Yeah.
them, and then on the other one, there's one other guy. And for the most part, the others are silent partners. There's either one or two active partners on both.
Gotcha.
And so that's one thing. And then as far as running the day to day, I tell you, and most franchisees will tell you, year one is a grind, right?
I
So
can only imagine.
been there just about every day.
Mhm.
Sometimes from open to close, sometimes before and after. Just really learning. When the franchisor comes down to train you and the staff, it's kind of, you want to be the best at knowing everything so that you can, fill in if need be, or so that you at least know how your business is run. So year one was a super grind, and then as the years go by, you get to kind of roll back a bit, and at that point, you can be as active or as passive as you want.
Nice.
In my case, what I'm after is passive income. Like I told you, trying to get my time back. So I want to be as passive as possible, and that takes good people. So you got to be able to hire well in order to do that, because you trust in somebody with your baby on a day-to-day basis. And full transparency, I told you guys I just graduated with my MBA in May. For those 2 years that I was in B school, I was probably at the shop maybe once a month. So it definitely became more passive, but that wouldn't happen without great
Nice.
managers,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's what we're hoping for, man.
for sure.
Exactly.
Go on, Joe.
Some franchises aren't like that. You gotta know. That's why you gotta do your due diligence, man.
Okay.
Yeah. And you talk about the day to day. When I think of like in store shops, I think of this a little off the wall, but when Chris Rock came in on "I'm Gonna Get You Sucker" and asked for one reel, y'all remember that?
Just one reel.
One reel. So, what's like the craziest thing you experienced? Did you have a one piece of smoothie experience or something like?
Just one smoothie, one drop.
Just one. Man, I think the craziest thing was people coming in and always, I mean, it happens from time to time, but they always come in asking, can y'all add liquor to the smoothies?
Wow. I mean, they can't go do it themselves. They want you to do it.
They want us to put it in there in the back.
Yeah.
That's a business model right there, man.
It is, man. Look, I wish corporate would allow it. When I start my own smoothie shop, man, maybe that'll definitely be incorporated from a number of times we can.
For sure.
Turn into a smoothie lounge.
Yeah, they want to. I call it fit and lit, man. People want to be fit.
Too cool, man.
Oh man.
Other question is, when you take the risk of running a business, you do get a lot of benefits, particularly with taxes. Could you like share on just not the ins and outs, but just kind of a broad view on those benefits?
I thought a funny story when you said, yeah. No, I mean the tax benefits are awesome, man. I'm laughing because the other day my business partner was saying that they opened a Smoothie King in the Cayman Islands, and we were both like, oh man, we need to take a trip down there and write it off.
Man.
Research and development, man. We need to go see how they run it in the Caribbean. Man.
For real, that's a double win for that one.
For sure.
But that's joking. Don't do that. But
oh man, that's funny.
That's definitely one of the benefits when it comes to taxes, man. It's just to write different things off. Don't quote me on this, but I think if your business is in the black for 2 consecutive years as a franchisee, as an entrepreneur, you're able to start writing things off. You're able to start putting houses, cars, different bills on the business account. So there are things like that become perks. I'm a little scary, so I usually don't partake in most of that.
Yeah,
you can do it, and it is it's all legal, and of course the business lunches and all those different things are great write-offs. You always get a good little kickback from that. So there's definitely some tax incentive.
Yeah, for sure. Question for you. So I'm brand new. I'm looking to get into franchise, and I know you mentioned a few tips, but imagine yourself now going back maybe 5-10 years ago, right? Like,
Man, if only I
what is
could.
the best advice you can give someone who's just starting out wanting to jump into this? Like, where do you send them and things like that?
Yeah. Two things. Number one, I think the best advice is wherever you're at on this spectrum, make sure you work on your self-discipline. Being an entrepreneur of any kind, I think takes that, but definitely with franchising, it takes a lot of self-discipline, especially in the beginning.
Okay.
You want to be intrinsically motivated. One of those kind of people that motivate. You really have to want to get after it yourself in order to be successful in this thing. That's one. And then two, we talked about it a little bit earlier. A lot of these franchises have websites, and although the things there may not be as set in stone as they seem, it at least gives you a baseline for kind of what the franchisor thinks that you need to do or be in order to be successful at what they're doing. Right. So there's that, and to add to that, I think being successful as a franchisee is a lot about doing something that you probably would have done already. Like for me, I love fitness. I love smoothies actually, and the whole healthy lifestyle thing is something I like. So doing that, it doesn't always seem like work, and it fits into the lifestyle, which helps ultimately gain more revenue. So for those of you all who are looking to franchise, think about some of the things you already like. Think about some of your hobbies, your interests, and try to find things that align with your passions already. And I think that'll kind of drive you, because sometimes if it's all about the money, you make decisions differently.
Right.
That's a solid point, man. Solid point. Yeah. Cool. You got anything else, Jerome?
Oh no, man. Ready as a wrap up if you don't have nothing else.
No, I'm good, man. I got some more questions, but I think we'll touch base off air. Definitely, this is something that I think a lot more people should really look into, educate themselves on. And I don't know how many in terms of like mentorships are there, and but this is definitely one of those avenues I think could help a lot of people, especially when you mention their partners, because that's one thing that comes up again, right? I may not be able to go in by myself. I may have 10K, and it maybe requires 50, but maybe I can pull in for other people, right? Who are aligned with what I want to do, and there you go. We just created something. So I think that's definitely an avenue right there.
Sense,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I love how the language may be different, but those same skills, building relationships, being clear on your business plan, self-discipline, translate into the multifamily business as well. So, and I appreciate the inspiration you grant. And so we just like to wrap up with one question, Mr. Howard. It's the Take Ownership podcast. What do you take ownership of?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, man. First thing that came to mind was taking ownership of my mindset, which translates into taking ownership of my life. I'll end with this. I think my favorite quote is, the reason why most people fail is because they put off what they want most for what they want right now. And if we can, just not let what we want right now get in the way of what we want ultimately, changing our mindset to reflect that will help us achieve our goals on a day-to-day basis, man.
Powerful.
Yeah, man, that hit heavy right there.
heavy. Yeah. Listen, man, Jonathan, really appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, I think before we even go, so I didn't ask you, you got this under your belt already. So what's next for the future? Because I know you're definitely thinking more about more franchising, probably bigger franchising, so on and so forth. If you want to share some of that.
Absolutely, man. Alluded to it a little bit, but I just want to build the best and most passive portfolio I can build of franchises, real estate, and whatever else fits in there that'll give me the passive income to have my time back on a day-to-day basis. I want to be able to do things in the community that I'm passionate about, and not be tied to whatever my day-to-day is. So that's the goal. Back when I first started, it sounded really crazy, but it gets more attainable as the days go by. So that's what's next, man. That's what's next.
Nice. All right. So how can people get in touch with you? I'll drop some of the details later in the scripts there.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, you guys can definitely get in touch with me through DB and Jerome, but email JonathanHoward11 at gmail.com. Jonathan with no H, JONATHAN. Howard number 11 at gmail.com, or on the IG at Third Ward _John 3RD WARD _JON. and happy to help in any way. Love to see people talking about franchising or doing anything with these portfolios. So if there's any way I can help, I'm all in.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it a lot. Thanks a lot for
Yeah.
dropping by. This definitely wouldn't be
And
the
I
last.
must,
Go on,
and I
man.
must give him his flowers, man. He's so forthcoming with information. I'd be humbled just to talk to him, man. So that this is true what he's saying.
I appreciate that, man.
Yes,
That
we
honesty,
do.
that genuineness, that goes a long way, man. Appreciate it.
For sure.
Of course.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, guys.
All right.
All right, man. Peace.